It's something I wish I could forget, but
The Ranger Report. Yeah, the Ranger Report. If you want the inside scoop, listen to the Ranger Report. Oh, here we go.
This is the Ranger Report podcast. News, insights, predictions, interviews, and information about the Texas Rangers from the major leagues to the minor leagues. And now, here are your hosts, Ben Dieter and CJ Berryman.
Welcome to the Ranger Report podcast. I am Ben Dieter. You can find me on Twitter at BDieter75.
I'm CJ Berryman. You can find me at CJB_RR on Twitter.
And CJ, let's get our big announcement out of the way. We are now part of the Fans First Sports Network. We joined up this week. Everything is underway. They got started. In fact, they have a big show tonight at 10 o'clock our time, doing an MLB wrap-up day, so it ought to be pretty awesome. I was invited to be on it, but I like sleep, so I wasn't able to do it because they're going like 10 to 1, and I was like, no, I can't do that on a school night. But anyway, we are now part of the Fan First Sports Network as well as Dallas Sports Nation. And then, of course, as always, we're brought to you by Walton's and also by Preferred Health Solutions. And to talk about that a little bit tonight, we have Charles Parker on with us, who is the representative from Preferred Health Solutions. Charles, how you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on today.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. And for those of you that don't know, if you read therangerreport.com, Charles has been writing for me for years. So this is kind of an insider job sponsorship. Charles has been a friend for a very long time. We were even in city politics together for a little while back in the day. So we've done a lot of things together. But Charles, talk a little bit about Preferred Health Solutions, if you would.
Sure. We came up with a new concept to provide health insurance for smaller employers between 20 and 100 employees that is more of a customized approach. There's a lot of employers out there that, especially in Texas, where Blue Cross or United Healthcare are your only options. And so we created our own plan to be able to offer employers alternatives to do that. And we put in some unique management tools within the plan itself so that we can manage their claims better. We can support mental health, mental awareness better. And, I think that's something that has been missing from the marketplace for a while. And hopefully the way we manage the plan prevents the year over year increases that you get with most group health plans. Employers, you can only stand a double-digit increase for so many years before you start crying uncle. And then you're forced to change plans or cut benefits, or you don't give pay raises to their employees. So by looking at an alternative plan with some different ideas and some different claims management that goes with it, we're hoping to provide some better solutions for employees and employers and make it more affordable for everyone.
And this is a nationwide plan, correct?
Yes. Yeah. We can offer it in, we probably don't want to go to New York or California too much. They have a different set of rules, but we can, if we needed to, go operate there as well.
All right. And how do people get a hold of you guys?
Well, the great news is you can go to HibbsHallmark.com. That's our website, and there's an entire front page dedicated to Preferred Health Solutions, which is our plan. Or you can email me directly at charles.parker@hibbshallmark.com. That's HibbsHallmark.com.
And that link will be in our show notes, and your email will be there as well if people want to get a hold of you.
That sounds great. And hopefully we can help some folks out.
Yeah, and I'm excited. Of course, you guys paid for a year of Zoom for us, so we're excited about that too, because that wasn't money out of my pocket. So thank you very much.
That we got tired of getting cut off at 40 minutes.
Yeah, so when we had the free Zoom, you got cut off at 40 minutes, and you could hear the end of some of our shows. We started talking real fast, trying to get everything in there.
Well, it's my pleasure. I'm a huge Rangers fan and have been. And as you stated up front, Ben, you and I have been friends for a number of years, and we've talked about Rangers and we've seen the ups and downs of a lot of different things. I've been a fan of this team since they moved to Texas in 1972, and I fell in love with them. I got the opportunity to see them back when Frank Howard was their big hitter. As a matter of fact, my very first game that I ever went to, Frank Howard hit one out in the seventh inning in a 1-1 tied the game at 1 with the Baltimore Orioles and sent it into extra innings, and it wound up going 18 innings.
Oh, wow.
And they thought they were going to call the game due to time at 2:00 in the morning. And Brooks Robinson, who played for the Orioles, laid down a suicide squeeze bunt to score the winning run. And then they shut out the Rangers in the bottom of the 18th. And anyway, but I just fell in love with it. And then I remember my dad got lost coming out of Arlington, and we were staying over Hearst. And anyway, I think we wound up getting home 4:30 in the morning or something. Great memory, sticks with you for a lifetime.
Yeah, you ought to recognize this guy.
Good old Fergie.
Look at that.
Yeah. I
That's
got
a
an
great
Elvis one too, but his arm's broken, and I put it back on with the Gorilla Glue. So
You don't move it around very often.
He looks perfect, but yeah, I'm very tender with old Elvis.
All right. Well, I got to start off by saying I think this is the first time we've ever done a podcast and the Rangers have been undefeated.
Yeah, I think you're right, buddy. I think you are just exactly.
Well, it's my first time to join, so there you go.
Apparently, you're the reason that the Rangers are undefeated for this show. So, but you got to think. Let's start by talking about the man that everybody was talking about. Jacob deGrom did not have. I mean, it's funny to say he didn't have a great game, a lot of unlucky hits, and he did strike out 7 in 3 2/3 innings and did hit 101 on the radar gun. So CJ, let's start with you. I don't think he had a terrible game. I think he was a little unlucky, and it's just that whole shtick of, pitching for a new team. Remember the first day Cliff Lee came over, he had a terrible game against Baltimore, his first start as well. So
still ended up throwing a complete game that game somehow.
Yeah, but he had a terrible one. But talk about deGrom a little bit today. I thought overall he didn't look bad.
No, and he was maybe throwing too many good or too many bad strikes. There's a difference between, throwing a not a good pitch on the outside corner or on the inside corner, what have you, or just having a hitter guessing and going up high or whatever your approach is. There was just too many pitches that were too good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it don't matter how hard you throw in the big leagues. They can catch up to it, especially if you're gonna throw them, middle in, middle away, what have you. But yeah, I mean, 7 strikeouts. He was Jacob deGrom, just aside from some little bit of bad luck and then just throwing too many not quality strikes, I guess you could say.
Yeah. So Charles, what did you see from him?
I saw flashes of brilliance.
Yeah.
A 10-pitch first inning. I mean, he looked like that was the most incredible thing. And then he came back out, and then I think he was trying some different pitches, and I think he was trying to move the ball around a little bit too much and got a little too fine.
Got a little away from himself.
Got a little away from himself and out of his deal. And then what I noticed was he seemed to really get angry with himself, which I like to see in a pitcher, because that tells me that they're not ready to hang it up. And I think he actually fought to come back out there that extra inning and finish it off, even though pretty sure that manager Bochy was at that point ready to pull him. But and he even said in his after the game interview that we went with him as long as we could, and then we had to pull him. And I but I admire the grit that it takes to come back out after you've not necessarily had your best performance.
And I think it's funny that, if he'd have stayed for that one more out, he would have got the win. Instead, Cole Ragans comes in, gets 1 out, and gets the win in today's game, because the Rangers then scored 9 runs in the bottom of that same inning.
They went into that inning without a hit as well.
Yeah, I know. And then they went up scoring 9 runs. So both pitchers gave up 5 runs in 3 2/3 innings, which is crazy because both of them are amazing pitchers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you expected to see like a 2-1, 3-2, 4-2, 4-3 game, and we got the opposite. And I mean, and it
12-7 was the final. So.
Yeah, 12-7. The Rangers got that 9-5 lead in the it was the bottom of the fourth.
Yeah, bottom of the fourth.
And man, that what just kind of a nutty game it really was.
Yeah.
But opening day, jitters are there, and got to get some good answers, especially when it comes to the roster. And I guess we'll probably hit on that a little bit more, Ben.
Well, earlier in the game, Charles and I were griping back and forth about how Robbie Grossman didn't look all that great. Then he hit that 3-run shot, and we both said, well, I guess we got to pick on someone else now.
I had just gotten off work whenever he hit that shot to tie the game. And so, yeah, that's a good first impression for sure, because a lot of people, I guarantee you, Rangers fans all around were going, wow, I knew it once the season started. It blah blah blah. Old Rex. You rubbed off on me.
I rubbed off on you.
Yes,
I called him Rex Grossman one time, which of course is not him. That's the Chicago Bears former quarterback.
Former Bears quarterback. Yeah. So Robbie Grossman, good first impression. He was 1 for 3 with a walk, and obviously that 3-run homer to tie the game and really give the Rangers a jolt.
And as you expect, late defensive replacements, they put Bubba in there. He had a great home run robbing catch there late in the game. And then Cole Ragans, as I mentioned, who gets the win. So I think overall, Josh Young is the only one who didn't get a hit, and he didn't exactly look bad. His really long at bat in that fourth inning is kind of what started that rally. Yeah, he worked that walk.
Yeah, he kind of worked the count there and made him work.
And he made an outstanding defensive play.
He did.
Unfortunately, Lowe couldn't hang on to it, but he dug that ball out on the backside, and that was impressive. If you can't do anything else, at least play defense.
And that was the bum's shoulder too. So for him to go out there and just lay out like that, not even think twice about it, that was a good sight to see.
And like Charles and I talked about off air right before we started, no matter how many great plays he makes, everyone our age is still going to say, well, he's no Adrian Beltre.
It's so not fair, but
he's going to win 5 Gold Gloves and Silver Slugger. Well, he's no Adrian Beltre. But anyway, we talked about it a little bit, but I think, people said the offense might be better with the shift being gone now. I don't know if the shift had anything to do with it, but we definitely looked good offensively. What did we send? 13 guys to the plate in the fourth inning?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as offensively goes, they started slow, but I tweeted again another joke, and I think Dave Raymond said it too. I said, hey, that was their biggest inning of the year so far. But yeah, the offense, I mean, everybody looked good, even when Bubba got in and they started trading some guys out. I mean, offensively, I think this team is good. And I also think bullpen. Let's talk about the bullpen a little bit. I was pretty impressed with him. I don't know about you guys. I mean, Cole Ragans did give up the run, but it was another kind of fluke hit there down the third baseline.
That was Brock Burke.
Oh, I'm sorry, Burke. No, didn't Ragans gave up deGrom's last run?
Right. Oh, I thought you were talking. Okay.
No, Ragans, the run he gave up in the fourth was another one of those like bloop over third base, really weird looking hits that wasn't hit hard. So I thought overall the bullpen came in and just pretty much they gave up a couple of runs, but they pretty much shut the Phillies down. Yeah,
Burke looked good. Hernandez had his nasty sinker working. Leclerc came in. It was a non-save situation, but they don't play tomorrow. So bullpen, everybody, all hands on deck. So. And you like to see Cole come in and, gave up that one hit. It got him out of the inning. And really, I mean, him coming in and kind of shutting things down right there, just obviously just needing one out. But getting that one out was big because it could have gone from bad to worse. And maybe the team's just kind of down coming in back into the dugout after that. And they don't go out there and chase Nola from the game. So it was just kind of a momentum shift there in an odd way, I guess you could say.
Yep. And after watching Burke last year, you kind of feel like he had a bad outing today because he was so good last year. But he pitched really well today, Charles. Don't you think?
I do. And I think one thing to keep in mind is I think that at this stage in the season, and they used to be the other way around more, but I think at this stage in the season, the hitters are a little bit ahead of the pitchers.
Yeah.
And I think that so as these pitchers try to figure out, because they've been playing in Arizona, and then all of a sudden you come to Arlington, you're trying to get used to your own field again. And some of these guys, they haven't been on this, they haven't been out there that much. And then you throw in the jitters of opening day and everything that goes with that. I really thought the team played very well today. And again, I'm going to go back to that resiliency thing. The ability to fight back. And I think deGrom started that when he went back out the extra inning, and that set the tone for this team. And then the bullpen didn't want to let it down. So you created momentum. And so that's what being a leader of a franchise is all about. And that's why you get paid the big bucks. So even if you have an off day, you still got to set the tone.
And there's nothing better to me than watching the Vulcan death grip go back out to the mound and talk to those pitchers again, man. It's so good to see Mike Maddox back out there.
Yeah,
the five best seasons the Rangers have ever had, pitching wise, all involved Mike Maddox as the pitching coach.
Yeah, my dad texted me in the middle, and I was again still at work, so I'm trying to keep track of the Rangers and work at the same time. It's not an easy thing to do when you're taking phone calls for insurance. But my dad texted and he said, "Man, it's so good to see that Maddox is back." and no doubt about it, man. Go up there and rub the shoulder a little bit.
Well, it felt like a fantasy just watching Maddox walk out and talk to deGrom on the mound, and it was during a Rangers game. Just felt like fantasy.
Just at different times, that's for sure.
And you wonder what he says. He probably went out there and told Burke, "Hey, if you get this out, I'll buy you a cheeseburger later." Like, he doesn't ever say anything really fancy from what I understand. He just calms them down and then goes back to the dugout.
Hey, so, what's your favorite at Whataburger?
yeah. What do you like at Whataburger? But anyway, I thought overall, though, I was happy. I was impressed with the game. I think it's going to be a fun year. Way more fun than the last 3 years for sure.
Certainly more competitive.
Yeah.
I think one of the things, the TV folks all talked about this before the game but organizationally, last year they made a change.
Yeah.
And, if you open up your school books and wind up going through some management classes in college or something, there's a big buzzword about organizational change, organizational culture, all of those kinds of, fancy buzzwords. But the reality is that's what the organization and ownership actually did. When they replaced John Daniels and they brought in Chris Young and brought in Bruce Bochy and they brought in a whole new coaching staff, management in the office. I think organizationally, the expectation level for the team is higher than it ever has been. And I think that pressure is going to float down to the farm clubs as well, because I think there's just an expectation that we should win.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you phrase that necessarily, other than, ownership said we're going to win ball games and we're going to do what it takes. And then I think they've surrounded themselves with talent in all the different places to be able to do it. And it's curious to me to see which pieces of that talent are going to fall into place for us as the season goes along.
Yeah, and you watch, that the players are on board, because you look at guys like Cole Ragans, Dane Dunning, and Taylor Hearn, all former starters who said, yeah, we'll move to the bullpen if it helps this team. All three of them are going to make a significant role. Taylor Hearn was great out of the bullpen at the end of last season. Again, Cole Ragans looked pretty good today. He got the win again with 1/3 of an inning. The only thing I've ever seen that's funnier than that is I saw a pitcher, and I'm sure you guys have both seen this because you've also watched baseball a long time, get a win with no pitches.
Yeah.
He picked off a guy at first, and then they scored in the next inning. Never threw a pitch and got the win. So that's the only thing better than a 1-out win is a
third of an inning without throwing a pitch.
Yeah, pitched a third of an inning without throwing a pitch and got the win. So 0 pitches and a win is always nice. But I thought I kind of like I was on the fence in the beginning, but I like the pitch clock. It just feels like the game is always moving. So what do you guys think? I'll start with you, Charles. What do you think of the pitch clock?
I actually like it. I do think I do agree with CJ Nikowski when he said that maybe they might want to, especially when you get into the bigger games and toward the end of the season of playoffs, maybe tinker with that a little bit in the 9th inning.
Yeah.
If to create more drama for the game. If you're trying to keep and attract an audience in there, you can't really have too many big moments. But otherwise, it keeps the game moving. It keeps it snappy. Does a player really need to readjust himself every single time he swings the bat? I mean, some of these kind of things, the pitcher wandering around the mound, making dirt devils or whatever else. I mean, some of that's not exactly riveting entertainment. Get up, throw the ball, hit the ball, strike out, whatever you're going to do, but let's move on. So yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of it.
Yeah, I love it. I've always loved, guys that worked quickly. You keep the fielders engaged, and I mean, you can see, some pitchers. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, there's plenty of guys back in the shit. I'm just going to throw a time out there, just like in the 90s, that probably might have been better than, or that were better than what their ERAs or their win losses or whatever, because they took so long to throw the next pitch, and everybody's there's just that lull. I mean, and, the fielders, they're paid to be out there to be ready for anything, but they're human beings. They get bored too. They get bored just like we do. And, you go out there, and especially if you have a guy that's walking a bunch of guys, but managing to get out of it somehow, and he's in the fifth inning and taking 10 years to go up there, and he's licking his fingers 5 different times and sit, just spinning the ball around, and then toes the rubber and just keeps looking down, and then finally looks up there to get and you wonder why people that don't like baseball, that's why, because it's so boring, because you get people like that go out there and just take their sweet time, or the batter steps out. Like Derek Jeter drove me nuts, undoing his gloves and put every at bat. So let's get out there and play, and I do agree though that for playoffs, I would actually even be happy with it starting the 7th, maybe extending it about 5 seconds. You get 5 more seconds or 3 more seconds or whatever, because that to build that drama up. I love this pitch clock.
And Manfred did say on the broadcast today that he would consider they're considering all possibilities as far as the playoffs and the end of the year goes, of adjusting that to bring more of that drama. But I know I was talking to beat writer Jeff Wilson one time, and he said, I forget who the pitcher was. There was a guy in Seattle that the beat writers all called him the human rain delay because of how long he took to throw.
Yeah. Oh, I'm trying to remember who that was. I know who you're
the
talking
human
about.
Rain delay. Yeah. Because he took so long between pitches. They said as soon as they came in, they knew that inning was going to last for 40 minutes while he was in there throwing.
Oh, that's going to drive me nuts.
Oh, I know who you're talking about, because that was there was a guy with the Rangers. He got in some trouble back when Ryan was helping run things, and they cut him loose. But pretty good.
Jose Padilla.
Yeah, Jose Padilla. He was slower than the last.
He was.
But anyway, he was facing off against the guy from Seattle, and I remember I was listening to it on the radio, and Eric Nadell said that night, he goes, well, get ready for a long one tonight. Neither of these guys have managed to finish a game in less than 5 hours.
Yeah.
And he said that live on the air.
Oh, that's the thing I love. And of course, best wishes to Eric Nadell. We'd mentioned that, absolutely. But he's out with some mental health issues, and we're praying for him and thinking about him a lot. It was weird not hearing him on the radio on my drive home today on opening day, but I understand what he's going through. I know all of us, I've suffered, CJ's suffered, pretty much anyone at some point in their life has had someone that suffered from that, and just hopes and prayers for him. But some of the stuff he says on the air though is just brilliant. Like, it's what makes him such a good broadcaster. He'll say something, you're like, I can't believe he just said that.
Well, and he was so deadpan matter of fact about it. It wasn't like it was it was just facts.
Yeah, it wasn't like he was cracking a joke. That's what I used to love about Josh Lewin and Tom Grieve when they called games on TV. Lewin would just say anything, man, and it was great.
Yeah, there was a lot of people that didn't like how quirky he was. I enjoyed it.
I loved it. Yeah.
He knew his baseball too. Did. I mean, he could go back and tell you this and that about whatever player. I mean, I enjoy it. He brought he was quirky, but
if you never read his book about his time covering the Rangers, it's great.
Yeah,
Ball Game. It's a great book. Great book.
I need to get that for sure. so I just was trying to find out who we're thinking of, Charles, but I did find out the original human rain delay was actually Mike Hargrove.
Oh, was he really?
With the Rangers, yeah, because he would take so long in between pitches in the batter's box. So I haven't found who the but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, and Jeff told me his name, but I can't remember what it was. So.
Mike Hargrove he would practically dress and undress outside the batter's box before every pitch.
Still the greatest thing during the era when they started really checking for sticky stuff, when Sergio Romo took his pants off on the field playing the Rangers with the A's. Do you remember that? They started looking at his belt, and he just pulled his belt off and pulled his pants down.
Well, they walked up to him, and I guess told him, "Hey, we need to check your belt," and he just
went for it, man. It was
dropped
great.
trowel right there.
I was at that game, and I was looking at it thinking, what in the world is going on right now?
Things are getting weird at the ballpark.
I was like, wow, okay. I didn't know we were going to have a strip show during a baseball game.
Yeah, the last time they had that was 10-cent beer night.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, right. Well, they had a streaker on the field, but it was one of the players. All right, let's look forward. Go ahead, CJ.
A guy that I guess me and Ben need to apologize to, Brad Miller. We didn't think he'd even make the team, and because I mean, you just didn't hear anything about
and I just didn't think there was a spot for him. But yeah, today he found a spot, didn't he?
He found a spot opposite in the opposite field. So I think we're going to see kind of a makeshift platoon. You're going to see a combination of Robbie Grossman, Adolis Garcia, and then somebody young. You know,
you're going to see Garver and Miller also rotate as DHs, and then Garver will catch a little bit. But I think you're going to see Heim catch most of the games. I think so, and I just hope that he doesn't, as we talked about a couple podcasts ago, that it doesn't start wearing on him. Because last year, obviously, he wore down toward the end of the season. I mean, he'd never caught 120 games before, but now he has. So
now he has, and we'll see if his workout regimen's been different, or if he goes with a different plan to keep himself.
Well, and I can't imagine that Garver was thrilled for not being on the opening day in the opening day lineup.
Oh, I'm sure he wasn't, but I mean, Aaron Nola's one of the better pitchers in the league. So
that's why he had Miller in there.
Get as many lefties up there as you can. Yeah. Josh Smith was in there as well. Yeah. So, I don't know. Let me bring this up, and I think I talked to Charles about this maybe earlier via text, but I was kind of surprised Duran wasn't in the starting lineup with the spring that he had. Are you surprised? Yeah. You think it's simply because of left-handed, right-handed? I think it was strictly matchup based. Yeah,
I agree with that. Aaron Nola is probably one of the top 5 pitchers in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not off. I don't know that in my lifetime, other than seeing opening day back in probably early 90s when I got to see Nolan Ryan face off against Roger Clemens.
Oh, wow.
And, I don't know that I've ever seen another opening day in Arlington Stadium with 2 pitchers of that kind of caliber go set against each other.
So there was a stat that the Jared Sandler spoke about this back in 1992. The first time, yes, this is what it was, I think. The first time the Rangers had scored 9 runs in 1 inning in a game since 1992, on opening day since 1992. Wow. And guess who the 2 starting pitchers were? It was between the Mariners and the Rangers.
Who was it?
Nolan Ryan against Randy Johnson.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The game ended like 13-11. Yeah. So you never know. That's why we love baseball.
Opening day is always weird because the hitters usually are ahead of the pitchers on opening day. I mean, there's been so many times that you've seen, like, you remember, I forget what year it was, 2009, 2008, where we rocked Cliff Lee on opening day when he was with Cleveland. Yeah. He came in here with all that, tout of he was the best pitcher in baseball. And I think we chased him in the 3rd inning and we had already put up 7 or 8 runs on him. It was an amazing game.
Yeah, it wasn't long, and I think that was the year actually that he got sent to Seattle.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And then pitched for Seattle the next year,
and we
ended up getting traded to the Rangers at the deadline. So yeah, you're right. You're right.
All right, so game 1 is in the books. The Rangers are 1-0. which is great. They defeated the National League champions from last year. And like we said, probably two of the best pitchers we've seen. It's funny that it wound up, 12-7 with DeGrom going against Nola, but it was still a great game. Bullpens did a pretty good job. Not Phillies, but Texas did a pretty good job. Actually, you think about it, Phillies did pretty good too. Cause
they weren't bad.
Yeah. I mean, after that inning where the Rangers scored 9, they only scored, 3 more runs. So
after is it Diaz that came in? Because they got to Nola, rocked, and I think it was Diaz, and they got lit him up.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, it was Soto.
Soto, yeah, that's right. All right, so let's look ahead. We hadn't done it. Charles wrote an article today on my website, a glowing article, which he was kind of worried about those first few innings of the game. But let's look ahead. I just wanted to do a AL West, how we think they're going to finish. What season prediction? I know we've already had one game, but I still think it's still early enough in the season where we can all pull this off. So I'll start with you, CJ. Just think about what is the line up going to be? What's the final line going to be in the AL West, and who makes the playoffs out of the division?
It's hard to say they're going to win the division after the past few seasons. Yeah. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be that ballsy, but I voted second place. It's going to be hard too. Seattle's really good. Oakland's always just comes out of nowhere sometimes. And
but did you know
actually a lot of times
that Verlander makes more money than Oakland?
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. So they're definitely not, anyways.
Yeah. They're not going to have an up year, I don't think.
Seattle's really good, and Anaheim always finds a way to beat up on themselves.
Yep.
So it's going to be hard, and the Astros are still the Astros.
Yep.
As they've shown. So it's I'll say they. It's hard to say surprise, because of how much money they've spent on the names that they've spent it on.
Yeah.
But just over the past few seasons, it's hard to say they'd win the division, and then it also feels like I'm giving them a slight, saying they're going to finish second. So that's just where I'm going to stick.
All right, Charles, where do you have them?
Well, in my article today, I talked about some of the weaknesses that the team has, and there's certainly a pretty significant list on there. Defense is probably my number one concern, because they weren't very good defensively last year. No. But it's such a hallmark of what Bruce Bochy teaches.
Yeah, especially on the infield.
Yeah. Right. And I think that was I think spring training this year was all about defense. And I think it was all about trying to go back to fundamentals and work on things like that. And I think we saw a little bit of that today. And even though we're not going to have the shift anymore, I really think the Rangers benefit from that more than some other teams do. Yeah. Philly today, as an example, they do a brilliant job of hitting to the opposite field.
Yeah.
A lot of those hits came through on, just kind of sticking your bat out and hitting 100-mile-an-hour fastball and bouncing it down there in the corner on the opposite field. But the Rangers are filled with pull hitters up and down that lineup. And I think that's going to benefit them more than it will other teams. Yeah. And the other thing that affects this division, I think, is the schedule.
The balanced schedule.
Yeah, the balanced schedule. You're no longer getting to play the Oakland A's 19 times or the Astros 19 times. So it's not people in your own division beating each other up. You're actually going to have to play the AL East and go up against the Rays and the Yankees and the Orioles and the Blue Jays and all of that. Not just the Rangers, but that means the entire division has to go up against that. So and depending on how that balance is, you could have the Rangers get off to a really good start and build up a lead, and then maybe struggle later in the season. But then the advantage that I think the Rangers have over everybody else in the division is the depth on that 40-man roster, giving them the ability to go out and acquire whatever holes that need filling, whether it's a couple of bullpen pieces or, another hitter or whatever else up and down that lineup. But I like this team, and I like what I'm seeing put together. It'll be interesting to see where they finish overall. But I'm hard in on 85 wins. So does
I'm right around there with you.
Yeah, does 85 win the division, or is it going to take 90? I mean, there's more parity with the balance of the schedule.
Well, you look at the Phillies last year finishing third in their division and then making the World Series.
The World Series,
yeah.
Right. I think they've got all the ingredients to win the whole thing. I mean, to win the division. I'm not ready to.
Not the whole thing.
I'm not ready to get the anointing all out. Don't get me there. I mean, to go from 60 wins to
85.
I'm not even going to say the words. But I think it's going to be an exciting year, and my expectation, because of everything that they've done, is much higher.
Yeah.
And I expect to see more wins. And as I said in my article today, I mean, okay, if they just win, 12 more of the one-run games that they lost last year, and your manager, which supposedly can affect as much as 5 games a year, 5 to 7, let's be conservative, say 5. That's 17 more wins on top of 60. So that puts you 77, 78 wins.
They were 68 last year, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were 68 wins last year. So you had 17. Yeah, you had 17 to that. You're already at 85.
Yeah, you're already at 85. So
you're right at 85, smack dab.
Yeah. But anyway, I think you get my point there, is that 90's not far off. And
no.
But but again, the schedule is going to play into it, especially in the second half, because when I looked at that, and I wrote about it in the article, obviously, but I think you're only facing the White Sox, which they could be decent, or they could really stink up.
Yeah.
I don't know. They faced the A's a couple of times and the Diamondbacks. And other than that, everybody else may be in the playoff hunt.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you also have to face San Diego and the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Rays, and you got to face all these teams that are going to be really, really good. The Padres, another one, that you have to face that are really, really good. So like you said, I think it'll be parity, but everyone has to face those teams. It's just, I think it comes down to, Houston Magic, if they can do it again, because every year after year, they just seem to dominate the division. Just dominate. But like you said, it's not 19 against everybody anymore. So it'll be interesting to see what the Astros look like. But I went back and forth, but I told Charles off air, and I told CJ this too, but I think Levi Weaver had it right at the end of the World Baseball Classic when he said, I don't know why everyone's shocked that Shohei Ohtani struck out Mike Trout. The Angels have been beating themselves for years. It's a pretty accurate quote. And by the way, did you see CJ today that Levi's leaving the beat?
No, I did not.
He got a job with National with the Athletics. So,
oh, nice.
He is not going to be doing the Rangers beat anymore, which sucks because he's like, Charles, if you ever read him, I subscribe to the Athletic just because of him, because he's quirky. His articles are always great. Just off the wall, not what you'd expect type baseball writer, which is what made him so good over all these years. But anyway,
and that's just the way he is in
real
general.
Life. Yeah, when you meet him in person, he's exactly the same way.
Yeah.
So he's kind of an introverted, like weird dude, which makes him a really, really good baseball writer. We are kind of weird people. Those of us that love baseball, we're not normal.
Yes,
that's true.
That's true.
So I do have the Rangers finishing second behind Houston, and I'm not as gung-ho as you guys. I had him between 80 and 83 wins. And I think that's enough to make the postseason, because I don't know that the AL Central is all that strong this year. And the East, I don't know.
That's a runaway division,
Yeah, and the East, I don't know who's going to come out. I know the Yankees, but I don't know who else is going to come out of the East. It depends on Tampa Bay. They're either going to be really good or really bad, because they're always one or the other.
Are the Red Sox going to bounce back? And all those
Red Sox don't look like they're going to be good, but you never know. I don't think so. I don't think they're going to be good either. So I think the Rangers have a good shot, and I'd love to be wrong and see them win 87 games. But I still think they're going to get second, because I think the Angels, once again, are going to shoot themselves in the foot. And I think Seattle's going to take a little step back from what they were last year. I don't think Seattle's going to be as good as they were last year. I think they're going to take a small step back. So I think that you look at Rangers second, Seattle third, and then Angels and A's. And of course, everyone screams Artie Moreno needs to sell the team because the Angels can't win, which is true. But I want him to keep the team forever, to be honest with you, because they're bad under his management.
It's just like Dan Snyder in football.
In Washington,
you want him to stay the owner of the Redskins, because ever since he's been there,
not the Redskins, you'll get us canceled.
Oh, I'm sorry. That team in Washington.
I was listening to Dan Patrick this morning, and he was talking about the A's, and apparently you could get tickets behind home plate for the starting game today, which, by the way, Ohtani's pitching. But anyway, you could get tickets for behind home plate for less than $100.
Oh my God. Well, when you buy all of these players and disappoint your fans year after year after year, they're going to stop coming after a while. See, at least when the Rangers sucked the last 3 years, we knew they were going to suck. Like we knew 20, 21 and 22 weren't going to be good years. Like we all knew that. Any of us that followed knew that once they started that rebuild, they were going to be bad for a while. But now farm system's great. Frisco won the Texas League Championship last year. We've got the prospects. They might repeat. They might repeat this year. They have what is it? 4 of the top 5 prospects are starting at Frisco this year. And the only one that isn't is Josh Young, and he's starting in Texas. So, they're going to be good. Round Rock's going to be good. Round Rock, there's a lot of guys in Round Rock that we like to call them quadruple A players. They're major league ready. They're just no place for them on the team. You've got guys like Cole Wynn and Jake Latz, and you've got Glenn Otto, who's going to go down there when he gets healthy, and you got so many guys down there that are ready to go, but they just aren't ready to go. They sent Joe Barlow down to AAA.
Yeah, and you might have. I mean, by the end of the season, who knows? Zach Kent might be
another
quadruple A guy. So there's a ton. There's a ton of talent that especially Double A. And again, and then a lot of those Double A guys are up in Triple A now, and a lot of those guys that were kicking butt down in the A ball are now playing for Double A.
So if you live in the Dallas area, you should definitely go see Frisco, because you're going to see some good baseball. You got Jack Leiter there, you got Owen White there, you got Evan Carter there. I mean, that is a stacked Luis Angel Acuna. That is a stacked team. The manager Carlos Cardozo, who we've had on the show, is a fantastic guy. Going to be a good. I was kind of sad that Gettert left, because I liked him a lot, but I think it's good. I think Cardozo is going to be good there. So anyway, little minor league talk, but the Rangers. So we got them all together somewhere around 85 wins, 83 wins, somewhere in there, making the playoffs. So I hope I'm right, because the last time I thought they would stink and they made the playoffs was 2010, and I was glad to be really, really wrong that year.
Yes, that was.
So I'd love to see a repeat of that, where they get hot, at the end of the year and make a run. But we'll see what happens. But I'm excited. Today was a good game, and I'm excited for the future of this season. What else we got, guys?
Well, that's it for me. I mean, it was a wonky kind of opening day, but hey, you know what? A W's a W.
We should mention that the Mets lost their ace.
Yeah,
Justin Verlander is on the injured list.
I saw that, and I just, it's exciting. I mean,
one of the things that I note is, we talk about the A's. I mean, the Angels always shooting themselves in the foot. I've never seen a franchise with so much bad luck as the Mets.
That's true. That is true.
I mean, they're just snake bit from top to bottom.
That is true.
I mean, and I think it's been that way since 1969. It's
been a long time.
Mets. It's I don't know what it is. Maybe the New York water or whatever, but
because they have the market and they have the money, but they never seem to be able to get there.
Yeah,
they kind of remind me, at least of recent. Would be in the NFL, the new age San Diego Chargers. The Chargers
they're always Super Bowl favorites, and they always got knocked out in the first round of the playoffs.
And they have all these injuries. Just bam.
Well, as a Denver Broncos fan, I've loved the fact that the Chargers have never been that good when it comes to the playoffs.
They were with Phillip Rivers, and they had 2 Hall of Famers drafted in the same draft, and Drew Brees and LaDainian Tomlinson, and ended up letting Drew Brees go because they thought he wasn't the guy.
Whoops.
And drafted Phillip Rivers, and Drew Brees
won a Super Bowl.
Drew Brees won a Super Bowl. So it's that's kind of what they remind me of, as being a younger buck, I guess you could say. But that team that's just loaded with talent, but just for whatever reason is snake bitten, and they lose key players at the worst times. And I mean, you've got probably arguably 2 of the best players in baseball, in Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout. And Mike Trout has been to 1 playoff series in his entire career. That's insane to me.
Yeah.
And then you get both of them on the same team, right in their prime. Trout might be starting to hit his.
I think he's on the back.
Yeah,
side.
Trout's
he's on the
past
back
his
side.
prime, but he's still good. But I don't think he's the best player in baseball anymore. He's not that good, but he was for a while.
I think the best player in baseball is on his team.
Yeah, I think so too.
And it just baffles me that Anaheim cannot do anything with it.
Well, if they want to get rid of Ohtani for a bag of peanuts, the Rangers should definitely take that deal.
Yeah, I mean, they might as well give him away for a bag of peanuts because they haven't gotten anything for anybody else. So,
No.
Well, they're not going to trade him. They're going to wind up losing him in free agency.
Yeah.
They're going to lose him all the way down the line.
Yep.
And because I can't imagine a franchise that's going to come out there and trade away half their team to get Ohtani.
That's what it would take. It's going to be a king's ransom if you want to get him.
Sure.
Get him in a trade.
You're basically getting 2 players for the price of 1.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
You are. You're getting an excellent starting pitcher.
30 plus home runs and had an ERA below 3 last year. I mean, that's unheard of.
I had a tweet
literally
last year. There was a game. Ohtani was 2 for 3 with 7 RBIs and 2 home runs, and the Angels still lost the game. I mean, good Lord.
Thank God for that, though.
Man.
Thank you, Angels,
Artie. Stay, Artie. Stick around, man.
I love Ohtani. I mean, God.
You can't not love Ohtani.
Phenomenal talent.
Yeah.
And I got so upset, and I don't watch the show. I haven't since him and Skip Bayless were hanging out together and ruining people's lives on First Fake or whatever. It was Stephen A. Smith saying that Ohtani was bad for baseball because he's the best player and he's not even an American or something like that. And
what?
He said that last year at some point and got lots of flack for it.
Yeah, he's like, nobody even knows what he's saying. Nobody can understand what he's saying, and it's like he speaks just fine English, dude. Have you heard him talk English?
Well, those guys don't do research; English. They just look for hot takes that'll get them retweeted and reshared. Is all they're going for.
That was not a good quote by him.
No,
if you look back over the last 4 or 5 years. The Rangers had their Lance Lynn's, their Mike Miners. We had Darvish. We've had a lot of talent come through here, but they're all been one at a time.
Yeah,
we've never seen this kind of high caliber talent since like 1982.
I agree. And all together with Seager and Simeon and DeGrom and Evaldi, and just everyone we've got right now. It's incredible that they're all Rangers.
Right. And that's why, I know we're being conservative with our guesses as our predictions. But really and truly, if you look at this on paper and throw the injuries out the window, Verlander got hurt today, right? Mm-hmm. So injuries are part of the game and every team has to face it. But all things being equal on paper, the Rangers stack up against anybody.
Yeah.
They really do.
I agree.
But I'm going to say this as my final thought is that the Astros, I think, are the best team in baseball. Until somebody knocks them off and proves
till somebody takes it from them. I mean, it's hard to. It's painful as it is. Yeah. It's if you're a true fan of the sport, if you're a true fan of the sport and you're realistic, it is what it is. And the Astros right now are the best team in baseball.
They were far and away last year the best team in baseball. The best team actually won the World Series last year. They were far and away the best team.
The Cinderella Philadelphia Phillies, and I just anything Philadelphia, especially the Eagles. I hate the Eagles so much. I hate them.
I have a soft spot. I have a soft spot just for the Phillies because my dad was a massive Phillies fan before he passed away. And that's the only reason I have a soft spot for the Phillies, but I hate everything else Philadelphia.
But as far as baseball goes, I've never really hated them. That World Series they had with the Blue Jays was a pretty darn good one back in the early '90s. That one was fun to watch. They had some damn good players on that team.
And a quick side quick side note on our way out, my first baseball game to ever attend with my dad was a Phillies game, and Steve Carlton pitched and Mike Schmidt hit like a 480-foot bomb in that game.
Wow.
My first game to ever attend. We were in the upper deck, and my dad told me there's no chance we're getting a ball. And when Schmidt hit that home run, it was probably like 8 rows in front of us. It was a bomb, man. And that was when I got my love for baseball. It's funny, it was in Philly, but because I moved here when I was 9. So, by the time I started really enjoying the sport, I was a Rangers fan. So my dad was a little disappointed in me, but secretly he wound up being a Rangers fan at the end of his life too, because we went to like 40 or 50 games together. So.
That's funny. My grandfather, even though my entire family is pretty much all from Texas, he was a huge Yankees fan. I mean, he was, he was all in.
One thing I'll say about the Yankees is they do have fans everywhere. They have legitimate
like the
fans everywhere.
Yeah, the Cowboys and Lakers.
Like, it's not fair weather. The Yankees have legitimate fans all over the country, all over the world, really.
Believe it or not, up here in West Texas, there's a lot of people that if you're not Rangers fans, which most of the West Texas is by far, but if you're not, there's a lot of Cardinals fans. A whole lot of Cardinals fans. And off the top of my head, I can name 5 or 6 people that I know that are Cardinals fans. So yeah, it's kind of strange how the baseball dynamic goes. But
I got to tell you, if you've ever been up, to the Midwest, if you've been to like the Royal Stadium or across to St. Louis, the fans are completely different than what you deal with in Texas.
Yes.
And they're very friendly. They're very outgoing. They're loud and they have fun, but it's all under control and restrained. And they're just the nicest people in the world. It makes it easy to become a fan and join in with them. And they make it easy for you as well. And there's something about being a Midwestern part of the country that's truly flattering in that regard, I think.
I agree with you there. All right. Well, Charles, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And thank you to Preferred Health Solutions for paying for Zoom.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
We appreciate you. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks, Charles.
Yeah. All right, CJ, we'll see you next time.
In that case, deuces.
Thanks for listening to the Ranger Report podcast. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, and at therangerreport.com.